Hi guys, this is Julie.
And, yeah, well, I'm the other guy. I'm James.
And we're connecting Japan, and today we're going to explore the Japanese language. Now,
She's the expert. Well, out of the two of us, anyway.
okay, well, I have done it for a couple of years, but the thing is, we were all sort of not going anywhere, and what better way to pass the time than to learn a new language? So, what kind of ways can you learn? Obviously, when I first started going anywhere, I had the trusty rusty phrase book.
Lonely Planet.
Lonely Planet. So most people are aware of who Lonely Planet is. Just a company that had a lot of backpackers going around learning about culture, language, and forming these books, which are really helpful. This particular one cost about 14 to 15 Australian, and it covers a whole lot of basics, some social, practical, and to help you get around. So the only problem with it is it's the way I learnt my language. It kind of a little difficult to figure out. But if you don't have any of those hang-ups, it's a really good way of starting out. These are really great for tourists, but so it's a good starting point anyway. And if you want something to go with that, this is one of the culture books. This one's like it's a pretty basic one. It doesn't cover everywhere in Japan. This one was from the World Travel Expo, which is one of our favourite places. Unfortunately, probably won't be happening in February this year.
I highly doubt that.
But it could be happening in October, so it's a good place to pick up many of the Lonely Planet resources cheaply. Of course, if you like going to bookshops, one we visited is the, I'll just get the name of it, the Language International Bookshop in Q East, and they have lots of different resources, textbooks, workbooks, music, videos, and even if you don't want to know Japanese and you want to explore another language, the stuff there are really nice.
They have lots of language stuff.
Yeah, and they speak a few different languages too, so you might find someone that will be able to speak with you. The other thing is, of course, is apps. Now, my husband's used those more than I have.
I've tried. I've found with apps, it's a personal choice. Certainly, there are lots of different apps for learning languages out there, and I've tried a few different ones, and I've had very limited success so far. I just tried to find something that works for me in the way that I'm trying to learn. I haven't found mine yet, but I'm still, there's that many out there. It's a matter of looking through them and finding one that just suits you, because everyone's going to learn differently. Everyone's going to want to learn at a different pace. Some people might have beginnings of a language or have absolutely nothing. So yeah, every app is going to be slightly different in how they approach the teaching of a language. So it's a matter of having a look around and trying a few out, and don't get caught up. Some of them will try to get you to sign up for subscriptions and stuff straight away. Certainly don't do that if you're just wanting to test them out. And I got caught with one, but thankfully I got out of that. And yeah, I just started a new one, and I'll see what happens. If I find one that I feel is really good and comfortable and easy to use, I'll certainly let people know about it. But at the moment, yeah, I haven't come across one that works for me. I'm sure they work for other people, but at the moment, I haven't come across one that really works for me yet.
Okay, so the other one is the innovative app that comes with Japanese Pod 101. Again, you can get a free account with this. However, it's restricted. You can't use all the functions, so you do need to have a subscription with it, which is in American dollars. So it's a bit of a problem for us Australians. And it's usually for two years, but you can get lots of special deals. So if you're really serious about learning Japanese or another language that the Pod 101 company has, then check them out, or you can go to YouTube and search them up, and there's usually some interactive stuff that you can do. There's lots of different apps that go along with Japan, but we'll probably talk about them another time. But there is one that we found that really helped us when we didn't have any idea how to speak the language, called voice trans. So basically, as we spoke about and probably in a previous video, you put it to the, for English, set to the language of your choice, speak into the phone, and it will come out in the text and characters of that language. And all you have to do is pass it across to a shop clerk or whoever you're going to give it to. And it's a really handy idea of getting you out of a tough spot.
Obviously a little bit less wieldy than actually just talking to a person, but if you're in a bind, and especially good for just vacations, if you're not wanting to learn a language just to go and have a holiday, something like that can come in very handy, especially in countries that don't cater to the English language very heavily. Japan, we got by, but certainly they don't cater to the English language from what we found compared to some other countries. But yeah, there's ways and means around things. It's a matter of working your way around.
Okay, so we're probably going to talk a little bit about some of the words that you might have heard. If you didn't already know...
Oh, hang on. You forgot about one really good learning tool for learning languages.
What?
Anime!
No! Let's just do the hints, the do's and the don'ts first. Do not use some of the phrases you will hear in anime, particularly the one that everybody tends to know about, Domo. Now, Domo usually means thank you, but it can be contextual as well. Some people say you can use it in any situation whatsoever. It's highly casual, and it's not something most Japanese people use in polite society. So try and avoid some of the phrases that you hear in anime. There are some words that you will hear in anime that they do use. Now, some of them have a negative or positive connotation depending on which way you swing. One of them is Otaku, and it just means someone who's passionate about one particular project. So that word often comes up in a lot of anime. Sometimes it's a positive word, sometimes it's a negative word. English translation, it means nerd or geek. Most people tend to mix it up with otakus being people only love anime or manga or cosplay, but translated wise it means someone who's passionate about one particular thing to exclusion of all else. So you will hear that quite a bit. Now, one my kids have brought up that I never knew about is the one called Weeaboo. No. Now this one kind of has a negative connotation to it. It was found in the racial slurs for 2004. It comes from the word wannabe Japanese, Wapanese, and then it just translated into weeaboo. So it mainly means a Westerner or someone of that nature who just loves the Japanese pop culture and just wants to be Japanese. Obviously, we don't look Japanese. We weren't born there, so that's not possible. But you do get people that actually fall into this category. The other one that is more positive, it's sort of a neutral sort of term, is Shinnichi, means Japanese, lover of Japanese or pro-Japan. So it just means any Westerners that love everything about Japan, they don't want to be Japanese, but they just enjoy living, working, and enjoying everything about Japan. So there's some of the terms that you might hear a little bit in some areas. Well, we can just give you some hints about Japanese in general. We said 10% of the Japanese language you already know. So Konnichiwa and sayonara are two terms most everybody knows. But did you know that they don't actually use those words all that much, really? They're very highly formal words. So there's lots of ways of saying hello. Go on, hun, do you know one?
Hello.
No. Ohayo, gozaimasu is more polite way of saying good morning, or Ohayo if you know someone. So
Hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite is an introductory phrase, Well done, hon. And it's sort of what you say to a stranger when you first meet them. Instead of saying Konnichiwa, you can say Hajimemashite, nice to meet you, as an introductory phrase. And if you know how to say your name and ask a few other things, then at the end of it, you say Yoroshiku onegaishimasu as a concluding phrase. So that sort of cuts into the conversation. And who knows, you might have made a friend out of that person. So the other thing is, if you want to say hello different times of the day, Konbanwa is good afternoon. And if it's nighttime, Yasumi nasai, which Yasumi means rest. So yeah, have a nice rest. Sounds nice, doesn't it?
Sounds good to me.
If you want to say goodbye, there's a few ways of saying it as well. You've already heard one of ours. So the main one is sore dewa, which is one they usually use, or soreja if you're sort of, you know someone. Of course, the one we use, ja matane, is a very popular, friendly phrase to use. So there's just some basics about saying hello or goodbye in Japanese. Of course, if you want to ask somebody how they are, you say Genki desu ka?
Well, there you go. I didn't know that. I do now.
Genki is just the word meaning well. And if you hear ka on the end of any sentence in Japan, it just marks it as a question. It has no translation whatsoever. If you hear that at the end of it, somebody is asking you a question.
Well, then technically it translates into a question mark.
There you go. So if you want to reply back, you would just say Genki desu. If you feel like means I'm well, I'm fine. If you're so, it's mama desu. They don't really say I'm feeling bad or I'm having a bad day. Rather they say isogashii desu. Isogashii is the I adjective meaning busy. It means a lot more than that. It just means you've got a lot on your plate, there's a lot going on, and they'll get the idea. So if you want to apologize to someone, now I know my husband knows how to say this one.
Gomen nasai.
That is the very, very polite way of saying I'm sorry, deeply apologetic.
Or you can just shorten it down to gomen.
Or Gomen if you want to. Of course, the one most people learn when they very first start out at Japanese is Sumimasen, which is also, it means excuse me. So if you're going to have your kuriaraizu and you want to ask for the waiter, you say
What she said just before.
Sumimasen. And that will call over the waiter or waitress to your table. Very useful phrases to learn.
Absolutely.
So there's just some basics about learning Japanese. So also there's a couple of words that are male and female orientated. So when you learn the first word I, Watashi is more female orientated. And of course for the boys it is
Boku.
Boku. That's right.
Sorry,
And
I went too far.
that is, now sometimes in anime, again, they confuse you. Sometimes a girl may say it, but she may have a very male way of speaking, so that's why she might say boku. But generally, it's the boys that say it. The other one is Oishii, which is one that everyone knows. It's delicious, yummy. Now, it's more female orientated.
And that gets said a lot in anime.
It does get said a lot. There is one that the men say, and it's a little less formal. Do you know it?
No,
It's umai. Umai.
Sorry.
Umai. It's showing a deep appreciation for food. So umai is very casual, though most people say oishii. It's a really overused word, I think, but it's one you hear. But they're just some of the things that mark some words that are for women and some words that are for the men. So just to recap, the don'ts: don't use
Anime can be helpful, but the problem you'll find is if you watch much anime and you watch it with subtitles, which of course is, you're never going to learn Japanese if you listen to it dubbed in English. But if you're watching it and you see the subtitles come up, you will hear the same thing said multiple times, but with different subtitles because the context of what's being said is different. So it's definitely not really a good way to learn Japanese.
Don't lean on the romaji. Now, the romaji is the way you pronounce the words. At first, when you learn Japanese, some books and some videos may have the romaji next to it to help you pronounce it, but it's a good idea to get out of that habit very quickly, or otherwise it's very difficult for you to learn the hiragana, which is the main alphabet, and which is phonetically based, so it helps you to pronounce things. But looking at the romaji, it just produces a crutch, and it's very hard for you to learn the other aspects of the language without it. Of course, find the way of learning that is right for you. Not everybody is going to be book driven, and some people might have difficulty with classes. Find the way that works for you, and once you find it, enjoy the language for what it is. I think that's pretty much it. Of course, practice with somebody you know that speaks Japanese, whether they're Western or whether they're actually Japanese. And the Hello Talk app is a wonderful way of learning to converse with people from Japan, whether they're living in Japan and speaking it, or they're even in Melbourne. I've got some friends that are Japanese that live in Melbourne. You can get it for free, but it has restrictions. So again, it's one of those ones that eventually we'll have to subscribe to. But it's a great way to learn and foster new friendships. So hopefully that's helped you guys. Thank you from all of us.
Thank you from me.
Thank you for Lonely Planet Japanese Pod 101.
Thank you from the bunny ears.
And we look forward to sharing some more videos with you. If you want to know more about us, it's at Connecting Japan Ministries. ConnectingJapanMinistries.com is our website. And we'll see you next time. Jamatane.
Jamatane.